Hey, Nigerian ex-JW Speaks here, otherwise known as Chico. I hope you are doing well. Yes, I know it's been a month. It's been a month, but I was determined I must get a video out before 2021 completely finishes. And it's the last day of the year today. Have you been? Have you been? If it's your first time here, hi, hello, welcome. My name's Chigo. If you are returning, hey family, I see you. Welcome back. Honestly, December has been sort of what a month. It's not been bad, it's just been busy. Pretty much after I filmed the last video, which I think was around the end of November. Then I had to travel for work, like a work trip that I had to be away for. And by the time I got back, I just needed to spend some time with my son and just really focusing on that. And then the rush with work to sort of end of the year and all of that leading up into Christmas, which I don't know if you can see in the corner just there. I've got some lights up. I've got a tree, everybody. I've got tree, I've got lights and everything. But it's just meant that it's just been very busy. And you notice I'm in a bit of a different sort of arrangement today. I do this thing where every few months, let me know if anybody else does this. Every few months, I sort of move furniture around in my house just to, I don't know, give it a different feel, give it a different vibe. And that means that I've lost this setup that I had before, which it has been honestly a faff. I've spent the last 15, 20 minutes trying to get it set up that will have lighting and be able to do it. And that's probably something that's been putting me off as well. But here I am. Here I am. I wanted to make sure, like I said, get something out before the year ends. 2021, it's been a mixed bag, to be honest. And don't worry, I will get into my reaction video. And I'm sure you can see on the side of the screen there, which way? That way, with Anthony Morris on the screen. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about 2021. Um, Professionally, it has been a really good year for me. I'm not going to lie. Professionally, it's just been a real takeoff. Where I am career wise, if someone had told me that at the start of the year, I would not have believed it. I think something that really happened vividly for me was, deciding to really focus in on it and really put some goals, put some numbers in place, but even that was exceeded. And so, it's been a really good year. I know sort of on a global scale, it has been a difficult year for a lot of people. I was watching this thing. I think they have one at the end of each year, Death to 2021. So each year they have like a documentary type thing where they run down through the year. And there's been some horrific stuff that's happened. And so any one of us that is still here at the end, I feel like that is a win. So congratulations. I don't have a drink with me. Congratulations to anyone who has made it up to this point. That is a win. And I wish you the best for 2022 and hope it's better than whatever this year was for you, because we have sure ended. We have sure ended. Okay, that's one of the longest intros, but I felt like I had to say where I've been. And I wanted to say something as well about the year about to start. So let's jump into what we have for today then. Close it out in a reaction. How appropriate that it is, Tony Morris. Now, I have not seen this before. We are going to be watching it together. Let me make sure this sound is, you can hear it, but not deafening. It's a bit of a longer one. It's almost 20-minute long. So I better jump in so I'm not on here for an hour trying to react to it. In general, with these reaction videos that I find, they tend to start out fairly harmless, innocuous, as much as can be, and then they gradually get me more and more infuriated. So, and I don't know what's going to be coming with this one. Let us see. Is Anthony Morris talking to us? Let's get started.
In this update, we're going to talk about how we can make good use of our time during the pandemic. But first,
okay, so Tony Morris says we're going to talk about how to make good use of our time during the pandemic. This is the same Tony Morris that said at the start, and I know it's only early days, that this was going to be over in no time. And then the governing body's position shifted to, well, just sort of rubbing their hands gleefully that this was it. This was the end of the final part of the final part of the final days. And here we are, almost 2 years later. It'd be interesting to know how they spin it this time. I will try not to speak too much so that we can get out of here. But I just wanted to say that is a backdrop of what we're dealing with. This is how they've handled it. The one thing that's been good in how they've dealt with all of this has been they have not been anti-vaccine. They have, in general, let people choose, and I would even say encouraged it. So I will give them that. But let's see what Tony Morris is going to tell us about how people should be spending their time. Not that it's any of his business. It's really not up to them how people should be spending their time. But I suspect that's what he's about to tell them. So let's go.
we'd like to share a few updates. We're sad to report that as of December 10th, we have lost 25,658 brothers and sisters.
Oh my gosh. Wow. 25,650. That's a lot, isn't it? I don't mean to rub it in. This is not the time to get into, what happened to Jehovah's people. I mean, any life loss, it's sad. That is a lot of people. What is that percentage wise of, I think they had 7 million, 8 million? Let me try and work out the maths. So let's see. What percent of 7 million is 25,600? Let's have a look. So 25, let's see if I can do maths. 25,600 roughly divided by 7 million people. So there we go. All right, let's see, times 100. Okay, so it's about 0.4%. I guess when you put it in those terms, yeah, but still that number, that is a lot of people. I wasn't going to stop so soon, but I was hit with that number. Now, I know I said it's not the time to say it, but it does make you wonder, how does this fit into Jehovah's plans? How if he exists and this is his organization, how does this fit in? Like, what's the angle here? It's all I'm asking.
To COVID-19. Our prayers are certainly with all who have lost loved ones. Recently, the new Omicron variant has received a lot of news coverage. At this point, there are still many unknowns. Brothers and sisters, we don't need to panic. Keep following the same basic precautions that have worked well. Wearing masks, physical distancing, frequently washing our hands, and getting vaccinated if possible. In the 2021 governing body update number 7, Brother Loesch mentioned that over 80% of the worldwide Bethel family was vaccinated. We are glad to inform you that now over 99% of our worldwide Bethel family is vaccinated.
That is quite the uptake, isn't it? That is quite the uptake. So, so far, I mean, this seems really somber. This seems like, I think this is probably one of the most sober I've seen him be. because it is a somber topic. But let's see where he goes with this next. You heard him, like I said, in general, they've not been anti-vax, they've pretty much been pro. And even given the statistics there, that over 99% of the Bethel family is now vaccinated. So interesting.
And so are over 95% of our special full-time servants in the field. Many of our brothers and sisters have had good results from being vaccinated. For example, in some parts of Bulgaria, the local clergy say that vaccines are poison from the devil. So there's much pressure in the community not to get vaccinated. Despite this, one sister and her husband watched the governing body updates and made their personal decision to get vaccinated. Later,
I'm chuckling because, Tony Morris, no, you really are not the guys to point your finger at someone else for spewing what you consider nutty. Like, you really are not the people. You really are not with the mountains of rules and arbitrary regulations that you make. You really are not the people to be pointing the finger. Just because you've gone down the right path with this particular issue doesn't mean you get to point the finger at people. And I love how I started chuckling at the bit about personal decision. Again, I've said it in a lot of these. It's fascinating how personal decision becomes respected in this issue, whereas when it comes to blood, people don't have that personal choice. Like, you have to be consistent. So yeah, you really are not the people to be pointing fingers. But let me carry on.
sister's employer called her and said that in order to comply with government regulations, she couldn't return to work if she had not been vaccinated. How surprised the manager was to learn that the sister was already vaccinated.
That's nothing special, being vaccinated.
In fact, she was the only employee who was vaccinated.
Okay.
Everyone else had to be laid off. The manager asked our sister if she had any vaccinated friends who could replace the employees who had been fired. The manager then called other witnesses that she knew to see if they had any vaccinated friends who needed employment.
Funny friend.
That evening, all the positions were nearly filled. The head of staff asked our sisters, "How do you know so many vaccinated women?"
I don't want to guess what the job is.
A fine witness was given. In the end, 14 sisters and one Bible student were employed because they followed the good guidance and Bible principles that have been shared in our various governing body.
Well, that's not really a governing body thing, though. That's like virtually every single public health organization. That is almost every doctor. That is almost every nation. It's not really a governing body thing. I mean, unfortunate for the people who have had to lose their jobs, and I know I'm sticking my neck in it here. I understand some of the questions that people will have about vaccines. There's some wild stuff out there. There's some wild stuff being said out there. And I think it's very sad. I think it's very sad how this has become a political divisive issue, given that vaccines have been around for hundreds of years. Most of us had some sort of vaccination as a child. So some of the stuff that's been said, it's completely wild to me, but this is not that video that I'm going to go into it in that length. It is unfortunate for the people that have had to lose jobs I'm not sure those are decisions that have been made with all the information considered. Just like it works on both sides. Someone says something, someone you respect, someone you trust, and then you take that as a reason, to say no. It's unfortunate that they've lost jobs, but really, coming back to Tony, it's really nothing special to be vaccinated. I live in the UK. Most people are. It's really nothing special. So don't go gloating about taking over people's jobs because they have been ill-informed. Because your followers or your members are really not much better in a lot of ways and on other topics. I'll leave that there.
Dates. Now let's get back to our topic of putting our time to good use.
All right, go on then.
During the pandemic. It's been exciting to hear how many of you have reached out to Pioneer, started new study projects, and
I'm
refined
bored
your
already.
telephone and letter writing skills.
Bored. Just the thought of those
That
activities.
is time well spent.
No, it really isn't.
In this month's update,
It really isn't.
we will discuss 2 additional ways we can use our time wisely.
Oh my goodness, don't they do enough?
Helping inactive ones and improving our reading and writing skills. It has been wonderful to see so many of our brothers and sisters who were inactive begin associating with us again during the pandemic. If that describes you, please know that the governing body warmly welcomes you back. Imagine the joy that Jehovah and Jesus and all the angels in heaven have experienced.
I'm just going to pause this here. Now, I have been a bit behind with watching other JW channels. I don't know whether to say I have a lot of catching up to do, because I think I'm maybe gradually losing interest in keeping track. But I say that and then I'm doing this. But that's neither here nor there. But I may have caught some thumbnails about them losing more members, about more people leaving. I don't know the details of that, but just going by that, it might explain a bit of the desperation to get people back. People that have left, because people are leaving. They're not having that many new people come in because they're not getting a chance to go door to door as much as they used to. And so some of the desperation might make sense. But the poor people who are left in there, honestly, as soon as he started going on about the different activities, I was just bored already. Every single day, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm not in that life, because that's exhausting. And now they're going to add some more to their plate of things that the existing members have to do. I speak to this as someone whose immediate family is trapped in this thing. They are spending all their time serving these people, for want of a better phrase. Very, very sad.
At seeing you return. But what about those who have not yet returned?
We're not interested.
They might feel like the psalmist, as recorded at Psalm 119, verse 176. There we read, I have strayed like a lost
thinking.
Sheep. Search for your servant, for I have not forgotten your commandments.
Couldn't forget quick enough.
Some inactive ones may be praying to Jehovah, saying, search for me.
No.
I need help to come back.
Not really.
They haven't forgotten Jehovah, but for various reasons, they haven't been able to come back on their own. How does Jehovah feel about such ones? Ezekiel 34, verses 15 and 16 says, I myself will feed my sheep. The lost one I will search for. The stray I will bring back. The injured I will bandage, and the weak I will strengthen. Can Jehovah use you to find his lost sheep? Absolutely. Many of you have reached out to inactive ones. In the following video, notice how publishers took the initiative to help others return to Jehovah.
I didn't know what my brother was ever going to do about the truth. As a teenager, he was a publisher in the congregation. By the time he was 16, he sadly decided to leave home, and he then no longer served Jehovah. But then when we came back to Seattle and settled down, then we had more contact with him. My wife and I had been providing meals for him because his wife had a brain tumor. But the beautiful thing is our congregation, they started taking him meals. When my brother's wife was hospitalized, they even assisted at the hospital to visit him and give him encouragement. And that had a big impact upon him. You could see the closeness of the congregation, and I think that built a desire that he would really like to do more. When my brother went to the Kingdom Hall, he was only able to do that for 2 weeks, and then COVID struck, but an elder talked to him the first time he went to the Kingdom Hall, and they exchanged phone numbers, and so they were able to communicate, and that elder helped set him up in Zoom. And
right, I'm just going to stop that there. Okay. So apparently a set of brothers who one of them left at 16, which is sort of about the age that a lot of people start trying to really find their own mind. I mean, not just pushing the boundaries, but really asking questions and going, actually, this doesn't make sense. And so he left. He's clearly come back home. I don't want to sound too cynical, but his wife had a brain tumor. I cannot help but wonder how much of that, what must have been an incredibly difficult time of their lives, how much that had to do with this. Because this group make no secret of the fact that they target people when they're going through difficult times. They target people either when they've lost someone or times are really hard. That's when they pounce. It's like a prey trying to pounce on someone because defenses are down, critical thinking is down, and they go in there and they love bomb you, and they make promises of things that of an afterlife that they really honestly have no way of guaranteeing that is the case. So I can't help feeling a bit cynical and whether that man had been taken advantage of, because if you live at 16, by the time he's married, and you know, if that photo was in 1954, right, those kids looked about what, 5, 6, maybe older, you know, 50 something, 60 something years later, they're no longer young people. So that is a vulnerable time. And knowing what this group are like, and the fact that they pounce on people, there's a layer of disgustingness that I'm feeling here. Let me see how this goes. Let me keep watching.
And he was able to attend the meetings and he went to all the meetings. And then I encouraged him to have a personal study. And he said, well, I'm doing my study. Of all things, it was a terminology. He didn't know about having a personal Bible study with someone. So then he said,
but why? No, pause that. Why is it not enough for him to read his own Bible by himself? And this is the thing. If anyone's listening here, if anyone's listening and thinking that the Bible is enough, that you just heard that. It's not enough for them for you to read the Bible on your own. Now, not that I think the Bible is any book that I'll, stake my life on, but why is it not enough for him to study the Bible on his own? Why does he have to do it through your lens? Why does he have to have someone study it with him and frame it and color it and put it in the way that the governing body wants? Explain that. Why?
A family friend that found out that he was coming to meetings, and then he started up to have his own Bible study. And that's when he really started to make progress. It took 59 years.
Yeah,
Here,
there you
I
go.
had the privilege
50,
of
60
actually
years,
performing the
59.
baptism for my own brother.
At the beginning of the pandemic, we knew that our ministry was going to change. And so we thought about what to do.
I like her
And we came up
earrings.
with this little project, making a list of all the inactive people that we could think of, that we'd been in other congregations, lots of young people and others. And when we did that list, there was about 40 people on that list.
What a waste of
So
time.
we've emailed, we've called, we've texted, and we've written lots of letters.
What a waste of time.
Some of them we haven't heard anything from,
Good.
but nobody has rejected our efforts.
I contacted one man who I had met almost 40 years ago when I was 19 years old. We reestablished contact. He began to attend all the meetings on Zoom, and now we're studying the Bible in the Enjoy Life Forever book.
Oh my gosh. So does this mean they're now going to be bothering people? Nobody contact me, please. Nobody contact me. It's been, what, about 10 years? 10 years this year since I stopped physically going to the meetings. But I didn't actually wake up to the fraud that it was until, end of 2017, early 2018. So what, about 3 years? Nobody contact me, please. And wow, so this is what they're going to be having people do now. Writing letters, calling people that they've known. It's like, it reminds me of an MLM, which I can laugh about, but I have found myself in a couple of those in my time. In fact, just as an aside there, and I'm sure I've heard this said by other people as well, there's certain groups of people that are primed to be sucked into groups like MLM. And unfortunately, the witnesses are like that because there's a lot of similarities because they're basically sales reps. They're sales reps for the governing body. And so it's just like swapping one product for the other. And like I said, I found myself in a couple in my time. And it took that it was part of the waking up, actually, to see the patterns and the similarities. So as they were saying that's all I was thinking about. And what a waste of time. At least with an MLM, if I can speak, there's a chance maybe for 1-2% of people to get some return on investment. Here, there's nothing. So what a sad waste of time.
We contacted one brother who'd been inactive for many years. Now he attends all the meetings on Zoom. He has been reactivated, and all of this is very serious health problems.
Patience
Oh.
and persistence are required
Health
when reaching out
problems?
to these dear ones.
Did I miss something
We
about
love
health
them.
problems?
And so
Let me just go back a sec. Did you say he had
And
health
all of
problems?
this despite some very serious health problems.
There we go. Someone else that they've put their claws into when they're unwell. There we go.
patience and persistence are required when reaching out to these dear ones. We love them. And so we contact someone
That
that
conditional
list
love,
every
is
week.
it? Wow.
We're so happy.
Yeah, you look at
3 of the persons that we contacted are now regularly attending the meetings. 2 of them are studying the Bible. It's really been encouraging for us to see these ones that we love so much return to Jehovah. And really, if Jehovah
Where
is
was that
drawing
love
them,
that whole
they're
time
going to
then?
respond.
I'm sure you
Fake.
agree
So
that Jehovah
fake.
blessed these efforts
No,
to
not
reach out
really,
to his
Tony.
lost sheep.
No, not really.
What a wonderful way to use our time
It's
during
really
the
not.
pandemic.
It's really not.
One circuit overseer in the United States recently reported that 76 individuals in his circuit had been reactivated. That's
Reactivate.
the
Is that what they're
equivalent of
calling
an
it?
entire congregation. We encourage you to prayerfully think of inactive ones that you might know. It could be a family member.
Please, nobody
a
call
friend.
me. Please, nobody contact
Can
me.
you give them a call or
No.
send them a letter
No,
or
please
a
don't.
text message? And if they respond
You
and
will be
attend a
ignored.
meeting,
Just saying.
make them feel welcome. We hope that many more lost sheep will return to Jehovah
The
before the end.
condescension, lost sheep.
Another good use of our time is improving our reading and writing skills. Reading and writing has always been important for Jehovah's people. Remember, the kings of Israel were told to write out a copy of the law and read from it all the days of their life. Jesus was raised by a poor family, yet he was able to read. Remember the time when he went into the synagogue in Nazareth? He was able to open the Isaiah scroll, which had no chapters and verses, and locate and read the correct scripture.
Okay.
And let's not forget what Paul told Timothy. Timothy was already an elder, yet Paul said to him, continue applying yourself to public reading. So in view of the Bible's emphasis on reading, it is not surprising that God's organization has a wonderful history of helping people all over the world to learn to read. Over the past 70 years, Jehovah's Witnesses have taught thousands of people worldwide
I wish I could make
to
this
read
faster.
and write. For example, in Mexico, we have helped more than 156,000 people to learn to read and write. We've received awards in several countries for our efforts. What about today?
I'm just going to pause that there. He has a point. He has a point. Growing up, where I did in Nigeria, it was one of the things they had going for them. Literacy, especially in the area that I was living in, that was not representative of everywhere. There were places that were more affluent, more middle class, more same like everywhere. You have parts where people were well-to-do and places where they were not. I grew up in the not well-to-do part, and so there were people who were full-on adults who couldn't read a lot of the times. And so that was one of the things they had going for them. They had, I can't remember, I'm picturing this booklet in my mind. I felt like it had like a pink cover with black text. I don't know if it was called Learn to Read or Write or something that they had, that they used to actually teach people to read. So they had that. But like with everything they do, there's an agenda. There is something in it for them. The stuff that you were reading, once you got past the ABC and the 2-letter words and the 3-letter words, it's full-on propaganda going forward. And so it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Yes, you could learn to read, but it was heavily hijacked the stuff that you were learning. And so, because they can't do anything just for the sake of it, there has to be some ulterior motive each time. And most of the time is, how can we build our group? How can we get more people in? That is always the goal. That is always the agenda. It's not, I would be more impressed if you were just teaching people to read just for the sake of it. But we both know that's not the case. So before we have a big sing and dance about the fact that you've helped people to learn to read, that's great. But I know what you're like.
It's true that now in many languages, we have technology that enables us to listen to our publications. But we don't want to be content to rely on audio publications alone. We want to be able to read and to study the Bible for ourselves and to dig into the wonderful information.
But they're not. I'm sorry to stop again. We've just established that you can't study the Bible for yourself. It has to be in conjunction with their material. So that double speak's not going to fly.
Provided by the faithful and discreet slave. What are some other benefits that come from learning to read well? A new article was recently published on jw.org entitled, "Why Reading is Important for Children." This was prepared with you, dear parents, in mind. But really, reading is something that all of us should view as important. Why? The article explained that reading stirs the imagination, it builds character, it helps us to reason on our problems. It helps us develop qualities such as patience, self-control, and empathy. And reading promotes deep thinking. During the pandemic, some of our brothers have been making good use of their time by learning to read and write. Let's hear how they have benefited.
When the coronavirus broke out throughout the country, schools were shut down, and many parents either couldn't go to work or they had to work from home. One circuit overseer set a goal to encourage the parents in his circuit to take advantage of the opportunity to carry on teaching their children to read and write, with the objective of assisting them to become publishers.
See?
Many parents responded
With the objective of helping them to become publishers, not for the kids to learn how to read. There we go. I say nothing else.
to the encouragement, and this resulted in 37 young ones becoming proficient in reading and writing.
A sister named Sarah had been trying for some time to learn to read and write. At home, her husband tried to help her, but they just couldn't find enough time due to their day-to-day activities and many responsibilities. Now, when the pandemic...
I'm sorry, I don't generally like to comment too much on physical appearance. This man looks like he's reading from a script. It looks like it's very robotic. It's almost like it's not how he actually speaks. These people are weird, man. So weird. Sorry. It's not against him personally. He's clearly been made to read from a script and use certain words, and so poor man sounds like a robot.
limited their activities, her husband, who's an elder, took advantage of the extra time. He began to help her several times a week to learn to read. Now, she has the joy of reading the Bible and other publications on her own.
That's all it's
she
about.
She also loves to sing the kingdom songs using her own songbook.
One Bible student named Comfort earnestly longed to be able to read the Bible. She became downhearted when the pandemic began and wondered, who's going to help her read now that she couldn't physically attend a literacy class? A local congregation elder gave her some excellent practical suggestions, and he encouraged her to continue practicing on her own. With determination and persistence, Comfort applied the suggestions. She made steady progress, and she now reads well. She conducts 5 Bible studies. She's also assisting her own 14-year-old daughter to learn how to read and write. Comfort was baptized at the 2020 Always Rejoice Regional Convention.
Maria is our 69-year-old sister in Nicaragua. She's been a regular pioneer for over 6 years. She never had formal schooling, and so she learned to read as she studied the Bible with our sisters, but she didn't learn to write. When the pandemic started, Maria was very discouraged because she didn't know how to use her cell phone to preach, and she didn't know how to write letters.
No, that's the
But some
big
of her
trouble,
fellow
isn't
pioneers
it?
offered to help. So
Stop
Maria
preach.
would dictate her words to her field service partner, who would then write the letter. Her field service partners would send Maria photographs of the letters they wrote in her behalf. And using the photographs, Maria then would copy them so as to write her own letters. This helped Maria to start developing writing skills. She now writes her own letters. If you could see the letters that she writes, what a neat handwriting she's learned to have, and how well she expresses herself. Obviously, she's had Jehovah's blessing.
That's true
It's
now.
certainly an encouragement to all
That's
of us
all
to
it
try to
takes.
continue
We
to
have to
improve.
have Jehovah's blessing. Please
What
get on
a
with it.
beautiful way to use our time during the pandemic.
Selfish.
But let's not, even for a minute, think that literacy is an issue in only a few parts of the world. Really. Literacy is an issue everywhere. And if we're being honest with ourselves, probably most of us would say that we could improve in our reading and writing. So
Where are you
why not
going with
make
this,
the
Tony?
effort to do so? Note what the governing body said in a recent letter to
Get some water to drink, Tony. You sound dry there. I don't know where it's going with that. So most witnesses could do better with learning to read and with improving their reading and writing. Interesting. I feel like you should have expounded on that. You shouldn't have just said that as a statement. That's a lot of people you said. I don't know what to do with that. Is anybody else rubbed up the wrong way by that? I feel like there's a way to maybe say that. A lot of us, yes, we could probably spend more time reading in general, and I don't mean your literature. I mean things that are actually valuable, things that are actually of interest to you. I'm not sure about how you framed that. And writing, I don't know, Tony. It's not coming off right, but we're nearly done here.
all branch committees. We want our brothers and sisters to progress spiritually and grow to maturity. In large measure, this requires that they be able to read and study God's Word along with our publications.
Of course.
Many
Don't
of the
forget
ways
the
in which we serve
publications.
God involve the ability to read. For example, all Christians have the weighty responsibility of teaching vital truths to others. And appointed men have many responsibilities that involve reading. In general, Christians should be able to read. So, how could we learn to read or improve in our reading? Here are two ways. Ask a friend, a family member, or someone in your congregation to help you. An excellent tool to assist is the Apply Yourself to Reading
Is this the
and
new
Writing
version
brochure.
of? I'm sorry. Do you think all of your members are children? Honestly, this is what it is. It feels very condescending. That is what rubbed me up the wrong way. It feels really patronizing. I feel like I'm speaking really. Wow. Go ahead.
It is available in 123 languages. Why not ask your congregation elders about how to obtain this brochure? If you already know the alphabet and you can recognize words,
Oh my
audio
gosh.
recordings of our literature may
This
also
guy
help.
is serious right now.
As you listen to the recording, read along in the written publication. Work to imitate the pronunciation as you hear each word.
Why were we going to imitate
Improving
the
our reading and
pronunciation?
writing is a great way to use our time during the pandemic.
Yes, but not for the reason that you're
You
saying.
brothers and sisters have shown that you can thrive spiritually and build others up during
This
a
man
time
is
of
wild.
adversity. You have made good use of your time. May all of us continue to do so by assisting inactive ones and by improving our reading skills. Be assured that the governing body keeps all of you in our prayers. From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
Wow. Okay. And I thought we are going to get through one where, there was nothing. Okay. So to recap, I think for me, the most sinister bit was the bit about all the people that were being pounced upon at times where either they were very ill or they had partners that were ill and they were being love bombed, overpowered by the witnesses. And the sheer amount of time wastage that people have spent writing letters, making phone calls in the middle of my stutter is heavy. I'm doing this live, so it's not going to be edited. In the middle of a pandemic, spending their time doing all of that stuff, not something for them, not just a friendly call to keep people's spirits up, but with the intention of bringing them back to the group, growing the membership of Tony Morris and his mates. And then you end up at the end of this segment with very condescending comments about, we could all do better with reading and writing if you already know the alphabet. Well, actually, can you start with this book? And then if you already know the alphabet, then listen to how readers read it and try to copy the pronunciation. It was just very condescending at the end there. But as far as broadcasting goes, it's not the worst that I've heard. It's just a repetition of all the ways they're hypocritical, and they're happy to give themselves a pat on the back for doing the bare minimum. Not being anti-vax is the bare minimum. Being pro-vax is the bare minimum. I wouldn't be gloating about taking over people's job, like I said at the start, just because they have had information that perhaps wasn't the whole picture. So it just all comes off wrong. It just all rubs off wrong. And just constantly looking for ways to keep people busy in their stuff, busy in their literature, be busy promoting them, whether phone calls, writing letters, just keeping people on the hamster wheel going constantly with no end in sight. That's what I get off that. Is there something that I've missed? Is there a point that I missed that I should have mentioned? Leave it in the comments. I know I've been a bit behind on comments as well. I'm going to make some time. I'll have some time off work now to look through those and try and acknowledge a lot of them. And of course, we had the death at the start, which is a lot of people. And like I said, then any death is a loss. For me, it's sort of a bigger loss if people have died without living their lives to the full potential, without living their lives for themselves. If they spent their whole lives going trying to fulfill the roles of these men, that is a shame. And I think that is sort of the loss there. No one is promised the next day or even the next hour. And that's why it's so critical that why we're here, why we breathe, to make sure whatever we're doing is what we want to do, is what's going to be for the greater good in a way that is tangible. And these people sell a pipe dream. They sell a pipe dream of a time that they have no way of guaranteeing that is going to happen. And that, for me, is a shame, and it's real sinister. I'm going to leave that there. I wish I had a drink. I would have, had a sip now. But hopefully this uploads before it's officially the new year. And 2021, we are almost there. Oh, and I had a birthday this week as well. So that was great. It's been a few things going on. I've had a birthday. So happy belated birthday to me as well. It's been good. It's been good. Like, comment, subscribe. If you like what you hear, share it with someone if you think they'll want to hear it. And welcome to the new subscribers as well. Sorry, I didn't say that at the start. I am seeing all of you. You are welcome. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. The more of us are here, come together, engage with the videos, the more people see them. And the more this group are exposed for the huge hypocrites that they are. And as always, my critique is of the leadership, not the individual members who I feel are being taken advantage of themselves. Always of the leadership. Someone comes in my comments sometimes to always say something, well, I'm critiquing the leadership. Just saying that again. All right, I'll leave that there. I'll go start my New Year's Eve celebrations. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you on the next one.